Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I am gonna have my jumping dog hanging around. She's gonna be my permanent co-host, FYI. But today we're gonna talk about infertility and my husband's struggle and what has been going on. So many of you have asked on Instagram, and I'm not able to put it all into one video, or I'd be like, girl, grab a cup of coffee, grab some wine. We're gonna be here for 3 to 4 hours. But I did want to do it in a series, so this is part 1, and I'll try to release them every few days or every week. But this is part 1, so I thought, what better way than just to jump on in, and yeah, like I said, I'm not wearing that much makeup, and I'll probably cry, so excuse me, but it is a sensitive issue. Okay, so let's start with, what should we start with, Pharaoh? We should start with, whenever you fall in love, you think it is going to be so easy. You are going to meet the man of your dreams, and I did, and we fell in love, and I moved across country for this man, and I loved every moment of it, and I was like, well, our life is perfect, and it's going to continuously be perfect because I'm finally living this beautiful fairy tale. And the thing is that I feel like I still am. And it's our fairy tale, and it's our story. Told you, this is so hard. I'm not even 5 words in. But so let's wrap it up, Jessica. So we got married. We got engaged December 2015, and we had already, been like, oh my gosh, we're gonna get married in September. We found the venue. Everything was going great. We had the most beautiful, loving wedding. I'm gonna have to take a break already, y'all. This is bad. We're not even to like the sad stuff yet. So we got married. Beautiful wedding, beautiful ceremony. Our friends, loved ones, everybody was there. It was wonderful. Well, that night, like most people do when you get married, people start asking questions. Oh my gosh, when are you guys gonna have babies? And me and my husband were like, you know what? We're not gonna put pressure on ourselves, because we had heard of so many people putting pressure on themselves, and stress can cause, getting pregnant problems. So we didn't want to do that. So we're like, you know what? We're not trying. So we weren't pulling the goalie anymore. Or wait, no, is you pull the goalie? Yeah, I guess that's the wrong term. So we weren't being careful anymore. We were being very careful, very carefree, and we were loving all over the place. And a couple months passed, and I wasn't pregnant yet. And and I had my friend's wedding coming up, and I was like, well, that's fine, because, her wedding's in Cabo, so it's great that I haven't gotten pregnant yet, because I didn't want to, go if I had Zika. So that's why we weren't really trying before her wedding. And then, afterwards, we're like, okay, we're not traveling. Let's start trying, because it's been a few months since September. So that's September, October, November, December, January. So it's been 5 months of us not being careful. So are we doing something wrong? Because as women, you kind of know when you're ovulating, even if you're not doing the test or, the bracelets or the tracking, somewhat when you're ovulating. And I know that we were doing it plenty enough for us to get pregnant. We loved each other a whole lot when we got married. And we still do. I guess that sounded really bad. But yeah, so we're like, you know what? Let's start to track, because me and my husband both, wanted babies so bad. It was, we wanted them more than anything in this world. So fast forward like 2 months, we're doing the ovulation test, and come to find out I was actually ovulating like 2 to 3 days past what I thought I should have been ovulating. And we did the pee stick. Well, nothing happened. And we're like, okay. And I always felt like I had endometriosis. So that's kind of what this video is about. Everybody says they have bad cramps. Well, it's almost not fair for people to complain about bad cramps when you're to someone that has endometriosis, because it is night and day. It's not even in the same realm. It's not in the same ballpark. It's awful. So I went into my doctor in like March or April, end of March. And I was like, listen, I think I have endometriosis. I have all the symptoms, every single symptom. It was just like check mark, like, was it in my family? Yes, my mom and my mom had it. Do I have painful cramps? Yes. Is it the worst cramps you'll possibly believe? Yes. Just a whole list of check marks. And my doctor was like, I don't think that you have it. And I was like, wait a second, what do you mean you don't think I have it? Like, you don't, because you don't know. So for those of you that don't know, you don't know if you have endometriosis based off symptoms or a doctor checking you out. You do have to have surgery. You have to have something called laparoscopic surgery. And they go in and they figure out if you have it. If you do have it, what stage it's at. So she was like, you know what? I know you're worried because infertility is also a thing of endometriosis. Although my mom had me and she didn't have a problem getting pregnant. My mama had my mom and my aunt, no problem getting pregnant. She did miscarry one baby, but she was blessed with 2 babies. And my Aunt Rhonda, 2 babies, endometriosis. So from my family aspect, endometriosis didn't necessarily mean you couldn't have kids. You could have kids. So what was the big deal? So she was like, you know what? You guys haven't even really been trying for a year. It takes couples about a year. I don't like to do a laparoscopic surgery until you've been trying for a year. So I was like, that doesn't make sense, because I know that it does take some couples a year. But at the same time, everybody that I know has either had to result in IVF or they've gotten pregnant the next month after they decide they want a baby. Within 3 months, they get pregnant very easily, or they have a lot of trouble. I think the longest person that I know, it took them 6 months to have a baby, and that was the longest. So we were already past that. So I made another appointment 2 weeks later, and I was like, listen, I understand that you don't want to do the surgery. I want to be scheduled for the surgery because it takes about 2 to 3 months to schedule the surgery. I don't want to be in this position in September. I want to know if I have it, because I really do think that that's what is causing some of our infertility issues. So she was like, I didn't want to. And I asked her why it was so hard to get a doctor to schedule a surgery for endometriosis. And she said, well, to be honest, if you put 10 girls in a room and you say, how bad are your cramps? Every single girl is going to say they are horrible, they're excruciating, I'm miserable. And realistically, only 1 to 3 of those girls actually have bad cramps. So that's why it's so hard to get a surgery. So for those of you girls that really truly have very, very, and I mean like you're throwing up, because I would throw up, you're so sick that you cannot physically work because you're in that much pain, you probably have endometriosis. You might not have it, but I would push to fight for the laparoscopic surgery. So fast forward to June, we're still not pregnant yet. So I have my surgery. We scheduled the surgery, and I was, oh my God, I was so scared, because I was like, oh my God, like, this is horrible. I went in, and I'm not gonna lie to you girls, it was the worst surgery I've ever had in my entire life. It was so painful, and it was so hard, but she came in, and whenever I could, my husband was sitting there when I woke up, and I looked straight at him, and the first question out of my mouth was, am I able to have babies? That was it. I didn't care about anything else. It was just, am I able to be a mom? And he looked at me and he said, yes, babe, you can have babies. And I was like, okay, thank God, everything's gonna be okay. We're good, we're in the clear. Everything is perfect again, My doctor came in and she said, well, you're stage 2 to 3, so not completely horrible. You're kind of dead set in the middle. Both your fallopian tubes were completely blocked, so we had to clear those out. She was like, I thought I was going to lose one of your fallopian tubes. I went back in and I was able to clear it out. And she said, so judging off the amount of endo that you had growing, your tube's being blocked off. One of my left fallopian tube was actually completely wrapped around my bladder. And she said, you were in so much pain, and I am so sorry that you've been dealing with this for so long. And I was like, I knew it. I knew this wasn't normal. I was like, okay, so when can we start trying? And she was like, you need to take like 2 to 3 weeks off of any activity, feel better, and then you guys can start tracking again. And I said, okay. Well, that was June. So that was early June. We took 2 to 3 weeks off. So now we're in July. We tracked. We weren't pregnant. Tracked again. Beginning of August. Nothing. And I remember I was outside with my husband, and our neighbor was like, guys, we're having twins. And it's one of those things, and this is something that is so hard for people to understand that isn't going through infertility or, hasn't had a hard time getting pregnant. It is not that we are not happy for anybody and everybody. We are so happy for them because it's something that we want. We know how precious a child is and what a miracle it really, 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 truly is to be giving that child and that miracle. We know that, and we are so happy. I was so happy for our neighbors. I was so happy for them. But I was 3 days late on my period, and I thought, oh my God, we are pregnant. And I had actually went to Target and bought like these little boy, this little boy thing and this little girl thing, and I had planned on how I was going to tell my husband, and it didn't dawn on me that I couldn't be pregnant, because I was like, well, wait a second, I did the endo surgery, we've tracked, we did it on time this month, and I'm 3 days late, I'm pregnant, this is the best day of my life. And then I took the test to confirm, because I was going to put the test in with the stuff that I got, and it said not pregnant. I was like, okay, well, I'm 3 days late, so for me not to be pregnant right now, I'm definitely not. And then I walked outside and I heard that news, and my neighbor's husband was the one talking to my husband, Logan, and I think he saw the look on his face, on my face, of just, and I was happy for them. I was so happy, but just like hurt as to why is it so hard for me? And I'm very glad that he did actually see that look on my face, because he had told Logan, he was like, I've seen the look on your wife's face, because me and my wife actually, we had to do IVF. We have IVF twins. That's how we got pregnant. And it's been a very big roller coaster. It's been very emotional. And, they were poking and probing my wife for years, and they finally tested me. And, I was one of the reasons. And people always forget to test the husbands. They always forget to test the husbands. And the husbands never want to be tested. And he was like, tell Jessica I'm so sorry. I know exactly what she's going through, because Logan kind of opened up about our situation and me having endo, and we're still not pregnant yet. And my strong husband, when I got tested, and he offered, I never pushed that on him, and he offered, and this was the end of August. The middle of August. We waited 2 weeks. He went and got tested again. And along with endometriosis, I should say that I have a low ovarian reserve, which is crazy, because 3 years ago, I had my ovarian reserve tested, and I was high. I was high for my age. My doctor was like, oh girl, you better be careful, because you have a lot of little egg follicles, and it's going to be very, 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 very easy for you to get pregnant. So I never really thought that my ovarian reserve could be low. So I went in between my husband going to get tested, and I had some blood work done, and come to find out I was considered low. I was a 0.70. And normal's usually 1.0. Depending on where you go, it alters from state to state, city to city, facility to facility. And we got all the results back, and we got all the results back around literally like September the 8th. Our anniversary is on September the 10th. And I went to the doctor alone that time. Logan had a friend in town, and they had just told us that they were pregnant. And again, we were so happy for them. They're the sweetest couple. And we were so happy for them. And I remember Logan coming into our room later that night. He was like, see, babe, like, you know, our friends are pregnant. We're surrounded with babies. Everybody's getting pregnant around us. This is a sign from God that we're going to get pregnant and we're going to have our baby. This is a sign. And his positiveness and faith that everything is, it's mind-blowing. It's beautiful. And so he was out with his friend that was in town, and they were just, you know, grabbing a drink. And I was at the doctor thinking that everything's gonna be fine, and she's gonna say, hey, because I was like, babe, no, we're gonna be fine. Like, it's fine. So she's reading the results, and that's when I found out about the 0.70, and she's reading his results that he got in, and she looked at me and she was like, I am so sorry to say that you guys have a 1% chance of getting pregnant. And I looked at her and I started crying. I was like, what do you mean, like 1%? That does not sound good. And she was like, both of you guys have issues, and it's definitely split down the middle, and with both of your results, it's a 1% chance. And I was like, I can't tell my husband that. I don't have the heart. How do I say, like, you know, both of us together, when we love each other so much, is 1% of a chance of our love creating something. It didn't make sense, and I couldn't say it to him. I couldn't say it. So I had her call. She was the one that told him, and I just remember, like, if I could take any of that pain away, I wish it would have just been all me. He was heartbroken. He was so heartbroken, and they were like, well, you know what? We can put you on birth control. We can stop your endometriosis from growing, because if not, you're gonna be back in surgery in about 6 to 8 months. Or we can fast track, but you guys have to be ready to do this. You will have to do IVF. That's your only option. Having a baby is IVF. And my husband was like, I'm not going to put her on birth control. We're not going to do that. I'm not going to put her body on something that she's not familiar with. That's not what we're going to do. And if you tell us that IVF is our only choice, that's what we're going to do. And I remember coming home and being so sad, because, you know, the way we had originally kind of imagined our 1-year anniversary was either me being pregnant, or me, you know, or I just had the baby, and me and my husband are looking at something that our love created. And that's how we thought we would be spending our first anniversary. And instead, we're in the middle of Hurricane Irma with a house full of friends and family. Thank God for them, because they truly took our mind off of something that was like heart crushing, like soul crushing. And, you know, my husband was like, babe, you know, let's do this. We've got this. We're strong. We can do this. We will have our baby. And I mean, just everything from the beginning of this process until now, like, he is my rock. And I hope that all of you guys that are going through infertility have a husband that is so awesome and so supportive. And, you know, it was a lot, and I couldn't have done it without his support. And it was yeah, I mean, it was crazy that, you know, we're sitting there and we're like, well, okay, here's to year 2. Let's see if we can get a baby in year 2. But yeah, so that's part 1 of our story. I'll pick up for part 2 that we started our cycle of IVF in October 2017. That is when it started. So yeah, this one was just kind of getting us up to this point and why we had to do IVF. And I'm not going to say what issues my husband had, that's his business, but it was 50-50 on both of us. And I think that's something that really helps because, you know, sometimes if it's just the man or if it's just the woman, I've heard that couples can fall apart from that, and that's not great. So just always stay together. Don't lose faith. Stick together. You're a team. You're married, or if you're not married, you're doing this together. You chose to have a baby, and bring that baby into love and go through infertility with love. So yeah, that was very emotional. We're not even through the hard stuff yet. But yeah, so far, this is my part 1 infertility story, and this one was about endometriosis. So if you think you have endometriosis, go get it checked, because if I wouldn't have known that both my fallopian tubes were blocked. I would have had no clue. And some women can go and have them unblocked and get pregnant in a month or 2. So don't cause yourself heartache and, you know, empty pregnancy test after empty pregnancy test and just negative. Don't do that to yourself if you think you could have endo, because you could be cured and you could have a little baby way sooner than a lot of other people if you just be an advocate for yourself and really fight for what you feel is wrong with your body, because at the end of the day, you know best. You know your body better than anybody else in this world, including the doctors. So until part 2, this is my first comes love, then comes marriage, then comes infertility series. And I hope you guys enjoyed, and stay positive. Bye guys.